Hi guys, it's Bearish here and welcome to today's exclusive video report. And in today's analysis, I'm going to get you guys through a couple of time frames for Bitcoin spot price USD chart over the Bitstamp exchange. Okay, spot exchange, no derivatives analysis, this time spot only. Well, starting off with the bigger picture, which always, is the dominant picture, right? The larger the time frame, the more technical significance and the more fundamental significance it does possess and bring rather than short time frames. So to start with, we are looking at, well, Bitcoin's chart laid along with its 20-week moving average. Okay, 20-week moving average, which means that right now, technical fair price of Bitcoin over the longer period of time frame, 20 days, 20 weeks, is basically, well, not closer to half a year, let's say, right? So it's definitely a longer term picture. Anything by definition like longer than 3 months time frame is considered longer term picture. So here in this context, we are looking at the long-term moving average, which tells you basically that current average price of Bitcoin of the past 20 weeks reaches as high as $50,000 approximately, right? So this is considered as the main short to medium term kind of like level to be looking at in terms of a mean reversion. Eventually, we know that if there is a moving average that just is a dynamic like set of points that tells you an average price of a certain asset at a given point in time, well, we can tell that the price action does oscillate around these averages. Okay, and whenever it kind of like deviates highly above, it is usually a subject to mean reversion down to the average price. Similarly, whenever it deviates highly or heavily below its average, it's due for a mean reversion, right? So based on that, we know that eventually, not really knowing when specifically in time, but sooner or later, Bitcoin should be trading back at its fair average price of $50,000, right? Regardless if that happens after or before tapping $30,000 floor. From the longer period of time frame, again, we are moving sideways, right? This is something that I had been trying to make everybody aware for weeks, days, and months. This works against our favor because it lacks the momentum, it lacks the overall primary direction and consistency in any direction whatsoever, right? Definition of a sideways means that there is no trend, there is no tendency, there is no consequence, no highs are actually made to be a higher high. Eventually, no lows are to be established then later as and followed by lower lows. Instead, the market chops around, usually taking even highs and lows with it, right? Just to kind of sweep the stop losses and build the liquidity for the shorters and for the buyers on both edges and boundaries of the edge of the range. And this way, we are talking about the dominant movement that lacks the momentum. Dominant movement, which is also defined by this short-term or short-term fluctuations, of price, against its average. But even if you turn off the candlesticks, even literally just turn off the candlesticks, this 20-week average, this tells you that the market is not really in any upwards movement on average. It kind of swings in a form of a sine curve per se, right? So this is what shows you the dominant movement. The dominant movement lacks a direction, and this directly impacts and influences what happens across the lower time frames. The indicator on the bottom, on the other hand, represents the deviation percentage against its average. When the histogram kind of is on the positive side, above the neutral level, then it tells you that the price action is basically correspondingly above its average price. Well, proportionally to the deviation percentage, right? So right now you can tell that it is on the negative side, which is of course aligning with the reality, as Bitcoin is trading heavily beneath its 20-week moving average. And this chart shows you historically that ever since the bull market started, right? The bull market started when the bear market bottomed at the 3120, the levels of December 2018. So ever since then, we've only been looking, well, if you compare the levels, right? If you compare as an at the flat line, the horizontal line, you can tell there have only been like a couple of occurrences, as in one time, and when the Bitcoin market was bottoming out between $3,000 and $4,000 during the COVID crash time, and well, it's technically even lower if you zoom it in than what we saw in the bottoming process of $28,000-$30,000 of June, July, August 2021. Okay, so we are technically more heavily deviated beneath its long-term average, and short-term deviations beneath, okay, its 20-week fair price. So this historically has brought, if you have a look on of what was following these kind of like this kind of like deviations, this usually brought massive rallies up, right? So not, again, regardless of when that happens specifically, we should be looking at at some form of a bounce or a mean reversion, at least back to the 50,000 levels from the major time frame point of view. If it happens, this month, if it happens in February or perhaps early March, God knows, nobody knows that, to be honest, right? We are pulling just some sort of like more mathematized like guesses. That's all. Okay. So well. Also, like just based on the price action and the pattern analysis, we are talking about a level that is basically a range lows, right? We are talking about the range lows. The market is heavily like oversold, as in it's very near its range lows territory. And know that this range is $40,000 in size. It's pretty wild, right? This makes it very hard to trade because when the range is tight, you can kind of like position yourself easily, as in have a stop loss, just right above the range highs, or stop loss right beneath the range lows if you're long in that, right? But here we're talking about $40,000 range, which is basically twice as large as the entire Bitcoin history up until 20,000 all-time highs in 2017. So it's pretty wild. Now, if we hide this and if we take a look at at Bitcoin analysis with the scope of the Bearish Pro, right? And if we take into account the most important readings, then what we can tell is, well, of course, with the most recent downwards tendencies of Bitcoin, with combined with the equity market just being at the lows unseen since 2008 financial crisis, which is pretty insane. It's even technically worse for the equity markets for stocks. It's even worse condition post crash than the COVID crash. We are talking about levels unseen since 2008, so it's pretty wild. And this had been, overall, the risk providing the risk of environment combined with the deflationary promises from the Fed side, and at the same time military emergencies, coming up from the Russia-Ukraine line, and more than that, right? So we were talking about we had been talking about for quite some time already of the sell-off of $69,000 highs, right, all the way down to $33,000 region. And well, basically, if you have a look at like 3 daily time frame, right, which is of course a fair bridge between a daily and the weekly, you can tell there's just been a massive level tagged, as in the main support coming off the year of 2021. The main support of 2021 basically has just been tapped and tagged, retested successfully so far. We'll still for our 15 minutes left till the very close. What does that mean? What does that mean again on the daily time frame? Well, we are talking about a local set of key major levels defined as the main pivotal areas, giving the demand supply zones based on the price action, and key levels. So it basically tells you that the main resistance on the higher time frame point of view is, well, somewhere around like $66,000 in this region. Then the level lines, just marked with the dotted lines, dotted horizontal lines, are automatically generated support and resistances levels based on the Bearish Pro readings, which have been proven to work very well as a strong support and resistance anchors. So you can basically tell and see that in case or as long as we trade beneath 38,466 level, trade beneath as in, there is no daily close above this level, that would change this matter of fact. We are risking pulling back, in continuation of a downside bleed, down to 29,807. This could be invalidated if we see a proper daily close above, first of all, the VWAP block defined by the volume weighted average prices zone, combined with this resistance of level line. So the way I see it is, if we see a proper daily close, a daily or even better weekly close of higher time frame above 38,466, this could potentially validate, this could potentially validate the reversal and, higher chances of Bitcoin pulling back in the on the upward side, on the upside, towards the next level line, because this is the way that it works, right? Level to level plays. Broken level to the upside just leads to another level on the upper side. Broken beneath just leads to the lower level place nearly. So a daily strong close, daily or weekly strong close above and through 38,500, let's say, approximately, right, brings higher chances. It doesn't promise anything. It doesn't generate, any promise, but that it does imply that there are higher chances naturally from the technical point of view for Bitcoin, assuming there's no fundamental changes and no military conflicts emerge or no catastrophes. That chart alone, can lead you to conclusion that Bitcoin may have higher chances to tap 44,758. Similar case, strong close above, it may get you continuation of the pullback up to $52,000. And this would be the proper mean reversion that I was referring to in a weekly time frame, right? But this upside upward scenario of a pullback of a confirmed reversal can only come with a strong, decided, like very, very strong, powerful close above 38,500. This is on a daily time frame. If we go to lower time frames, which is 12 hours per se, then we are going to notice, right? And if we turn off the level lines, and come up with some the main point that I personally watch and observe, right? You can come up with something that is called CTF trailer. CTF trailer. If you turn off the the baseline blocks of demand and supply, you can come up with a very simple conclusion that Bitcoin has been remaining under the bearish impact and control ever since, breaking through $62,000 region. The actual support level that was invalidated was marked by the bullish thesis, coming up with the breakout beneath, like above $65,000 back in the day, or $63,000 region back in the day. That provided an upwards thesis, updating the supports, eventually leading to a breakout, a fake breakout on top, right through $65,000, with invalidation and the start of bearish advantage for the potential correction developing, which eventually was proved real and correct, starting off with $63,000 floor breakdown, right? And ever since, through the entire time since mid-November, we have been remaining under the bearish impact, under the bearish control. The bears have been in control. And this is what the CTF trailer tells you, right? There had been a couple of attempts to break above, but every failed break above, every failure to close above it, basically, was confirmation for a further bearish control, further bearish thesis continuation, right? And we have come a long way down to a level of 43.65, and this is, ladies and gentlemen, the main level that Bitcoin needs to reclaim on 12-hour time frame, or better on a weekly time frame, to confirm and invalidate or annihilate, neutralize the bearish thesis that had lasted for the entire corrective move of $63,000, right? Ever since breaking $63,000. So this is the importance of this level. A strong close above this, strong mid-daily or daily or weekly better close above 43.65, just like it states here. If this generates a reversal signal, the end of the bearish rules, the end of the bearish kingdom, at least for the medium term, at least for a couple of weeks time, at least for a major bounce, if not a major bounce leading to $100,000 for Bitcoin. So at least this $52,000 reversal pullback. Okay, and well, nearing the end of the analysis, I want to let you guys know again that this is the only level that I'm truly watching, for establishing the reversal. 40,365 is the main level that I'm personally watching. Okay, for the upwards reversal, confirmation of an upwards reversal for Bitcoin leading towards $50,000. So, long story short, reclaim 40,000s, and most likely, of course, if there is a chance that there are no interruptions on the external fundamental side, from outside of the chart, outside of the market, then this can take you as high as $50,000 to $52,000. Mean reversion will be proven complete. Well, and if that is the case, then we could probably continue further in the prior bullish thesis for Bitcoin, $100,000. Ethereum, $10,000, $20,000, Litecoin $1,000, etc. I still have not given up any hopes on that. Mainly because this large picture is range, right? There is a rectangle. It moves back and forth in sideways. This is not a bear market. A bear market is by definition a downward trend. Downward trend as in sequence of lower highs and lower lows, right? We don't have that. We have instead a high, a low, a higher high, which is nowhere near a bearish market sign, and the low forming, somewhere wherever it is, $33,000, be it in or not yet already. So regardless of that, again, I see no long-term implications for invalidation of my long-term bullish market thesis. I still believe we're in the bull market. It's a very strange bull market, very strange as in very strange things going on. Never printed so much money on the Fed side. Entire money supply ever printed money in the United States history, actually have and are associated for 40% of the entire size only in 2020. The pandemic brought 40%, 30 to 40% of ever printed money printed in that time. So it is pretty wild. We're living in a pretty sick, wild times. A stock market, despite hugely inflationary environment, which is extremely dangerous, it has been printing new highs day in, day out until peaking in December, just when Bitcoin had its major tumble, right? Funnily enough, just a kind of like a hint or a curiosity for you, perhaps to remember, this very peak of Bitcoin of $60,000, $69,000 was the perfect day, perfect hour, perfect minute for the reversal, coming at the very same time that the Evergrande news came out there, right? So talking of the opportunities, coincidences, perhaps, I personally do not believe in coincidences, but one way or another, objectively looking at the chart, the top of Bitcoin matched ideally to the single minute the release of the Evergrande news, so it's pretty wild how it works. And then on the lower time frames, same rule, right? Invalidation of $42,000, 4140 to be honest, to be specific and precise. Like CDF trailer that had remained flat for quite some time in the sideways. Invalidation and break beneath that level with a fake breakout on top, marked the bearish continuation that the bears were short-term back in control. And this level of 37,831 is now considered the main level to reclaim per analogy, to 12-hour chart. This reclaim of a strong close above best for 4-hour or even better 12-hour daily candle above 37,831 brings higher chances of reaching, pulling back higher all the way to retest the major reversal level of 43.65. Until that happens, you still are at risk of retesting back to 28.8 and $30,000 floor of June, July, August 2021. But well, there's finally been some buying appearing, throughout on the intraday basis. Some short-term bearishness was actually one over, bulls one over the bears for a moment short term. And well, the stop is 33,195. Guys, stay safe. God bless you. I hope you enjoyed this report. That's all. See you soon.